This is the Sports Porch Philadelphia. Flyers, Eagles, Sixers, Phillies. With your hosts, the Grand Schwabini, Rube, and me, your technical director. Come on, Philly. Let's get down to a little bit of Philly love. The Sports Porch starts now. Yes, this is the Sports Porch Philadelphia. Welcome back. We are live all over the world on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And of course, I'm going to drop this link in the comments. You can always listen to us live on Radio PGH. That link is the stream to listen live. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at Philadelphia Sports Porch as well. And I'm going to drop the show right after the show on the podcast, the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere you get
your podcasts.
Okay, very nice. Very nice. I am in the studio. Here with me is the Grand Schwabini to my, I don't know, right or left, depending upon what side you're sitting on. And below us is Rube, a proud Philly fan living in Texas. How's it going, boys? How was your week?
Good.
Very good.
Good week.
Good week.
Rube won his fantasy football league.
Oh yeah, baby.
Chris Boswell.
Chris Boswell gave me a little bit, but I made even with the bad pick of Atlanta's defense this weekend, I took London and Bijan, and they just killed it for me.
Yeah,
so
they did.
It was a good week.
How much did you bring home? How much coin?
So this was a non-paying league. These were with some college buddies and a college buddy's family. And I'm sure the person who came in last, who shall not be named, who Schwabini, from Chicago.
Okay.
Selpsy. He came in last, so he will be buying drinks for everybody at the.
Yeah, I mean, I know for sure that Selpsy can afford to put a little money in this pot here. I mean, this is a little ridiculous. So we're 30 years removed from college.
I agree. 100%.
We'll make him pay when we see him.
Every year, Schwaber and I waste $100 on our league up here. So,
yes, we do.
Or lose.
It's probably the only reason I won is because there was no money to win.
However you want to look at it. All right, so what are we going to do today? Obviously, we're going to talk playoff football. Page 1, the Packers and the Eagles play Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Page 2, what are the keys to beating the Pack? Page 3, let's talk about Pro Bowl selections and some snubs. Page 4, we're going to relive our 2024 NFL predictions. How did they end up? I'm not feeling good about that. Page 5, we're going to predict the current playoff situation. Page 6, we're going to do a little Sixers, Phillies, and Flyers mashup, because right now football is the most important thing in our lives. Other than our loved ones. Now, you are
correct, sir.
Rube, I was just thinking, if you actually won a little money, you could take Lemmer out for a nice dinner. And, I think she needs to push you to join a league where you got to put something up here. And then if you win something, then she feels good about the fact that you waste all this time on fantasy football.
Does make sense.
Sure, technical director. Thank you for that.
Okay. I'm just saying. I know if I won my league, the first question would be, where are we going to dinner? So
that's the first question, regardless of whether I won the league or not. So
that's true. What do you say? Wherever you want? What do you want?
Well, there is the where do you want to go? No, where do you want to go? Mm-hmm. So I've decided we don't do that anymore. We say, okay, here are 3 options. So whomever recommends it has to come with options.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah, Robin Leslie can be a team where she's basically pulling for them to join our fantasy league, Chris.
Well, you know what? I would actually be all for that, because I'm a little sick and tired of the DeFlitch family winning every year.
Oh boy. Right. Oh golly. I don't know if I can afford you high-flying Pittsburgh boys.
If we could dilute the gene pool, it might give us a little better chance, to be honest with you. Yeah. Although this year we drafted miserably. I don't even know what we were thinking.
It just didn't go well. We We bought into the CJ Stroud hype, and that was our biggest downfall.
Yeah.
What a loser he is.
Yeah. and we actually discussed it as we were drafting him. Right. We were like, okay, CJ Stroud. Yeah. What about the sophomore slump? Fuck it.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, we're going to go for it.
It's real, but they're in the playoffs. And
I feel really good about this year's draft. Okay, page 1, Packers.
Yeah, he's in the playoffs even after having a nervous breakdown when his friend got injured.
I know. Packers, Eagles, Sunday, 4:30 p.m. on Fox. I will actually be home this Sunday, so I'll be watching Sunday playoff football. I just won't see the Saturday stuff.
All right. Well, hey, first, what do you think? What do you think of the season finale? There, you gotta like beating the Giants with our second and our third stringers versus their first team.
Hey, but I didn't see a lot of the game because it wasn't on here locally. Did we have any injuries at all, by the way? Is everyone healthy going in?
No, we had none. No injuries.
And Tanner McKee looked like the real deal?
I mean, look, he looks sharp. I mean, look, the bottom line is that, well, first of all, they wanted to get Goddard some work in. So Goddard played like the first quarter, and I think he had like 5 catches for like 45 yards. So he looked really good. And when Goddard was in, he was slinging it all over the place. Like Aeneas Smith got his first touchdown. It was like a maybe 15, 20 yarder. And then EJ Jenkins, I think his name is, backup tight end, rookie tight end. He got his first touchdown. But and Jahan Dotson had a good game because he was the only like receiver with experience. I think he might have had like close to 100 yards and like 6 or 7 catches. But for the most part, I mean, with barely anybody to throw to, he didn't really look great in the second half. But they didn't really have to look great. Believe it or not, the defense actually played really well. They only gave up like 1 touchdown to Malik Neighbors, which was a great play by him. And outside of that, the Giants couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And, the Giants being the Giants.
Yeah, I don't even think that game matters. Let's talk about Packers and Eagles Sunday at 4:30. Is Love injured? Didn't he get hurt?
No, that was just kind of a false, sort of a false report. He hit his funny bone. And so on his elbow, so like his arm went numb for like a second, and so then they decided to pull him out of the game.
Okay.
Actually, later in the game, Malik Willis went down for a couple minutes, and he started throwing on the sideline like he was going to go back in. Okay. So I think that Jordan Love is fine.
Okay.
But they did have a key injury. Christian Watson, their burner receiver, tore his ACL, and he's now out for the playoffs. But to be honest, I don't really know what difference that makes. I mean, to me, the Packers have like 5 receivers, and they're all exactly the same.
Yeah.
I think it's one less person you got to worry about going over the top, which allows us to then double down, run defense and stop Jacobs. I really think if we can stop Jacobs, and I have all the confidence in the world with our defense, that Fangio and team will figure out a way.
And there you have it. Green Bay, Philadelphia, at Philadelphia, Sunday the 12th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. Did we get our wish? We would rather play the Packers versus the Commanders, or would we have rather pulled the Commanders on this?
We would have rather said the Commanders.
Yeah.
So we did not get our wish, but you know what? I'm fine with it. Look, the bottom line is it's going to be a really hard road, no matter who you get. I mean, really, every team in the playoffs, including the Commanders and the Rams, they're all serviceable teams. I mean,
no easy outs. There's no easy outs this year.
Yeah, it's not like you're getting some team that just made the playoffs by way of a miracle and they're just out in that first round. So to me, to be honest, I think a good thing, like assuming that the Eagles do win a couple games, I think it helps that they got the 2 seed, because that probably means they would only have to play one of the Lions or the Vikings, right? I think that's the way it probably would work out.
Yeah, well, you've got the Packers at the Eagles, Vikings at the Rams, and the Commanders at the Buccaneers. I actually think that you got your wish. I feel like, the Commanders have something to prove. I know that it's a division game, so anybody can win, blah blah blah. But when the playoffs come around, and you're a team like the Eagles, where Hurts has been resting now we're going on 3 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Barkley was out, obviously, which I thought was a real respectable move by the team and by Barkley. We had our debate about a record, whether it was a record or not last year, but not many running backs can say they ever ran for 2,000 yards in 16 games. So, that's putting the team first. I think Barkley will be ready to play. My concern is Hurts, and I think if you're going to be rusty, I think being rusty at home against the Pack right now is probably a better way to go. I think the Commanders are really riding up. I mean, in their last game of the year with Daniels not playing, even Marcus Mariota threw a last-second touchdown pass to Scary Terry to win the game. I mean, it's like the team just can't screw up. Now, I get the whole, they haven't been in the playoffs in a few years. They're all new to it. It's a big stage. But I have a feeling that the game that you don't want to play the Commanders in is their first game in the playoffs. Because
you could be right. It wouldn't surprise me if they beat the Rams. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
No, they're playing the Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers.
Yeah. Commanders are at Tampa Bay, 8:00.
Actually, it wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, some of these teams are really hard to figure out. I mean, like Tampa Bay, offensively with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, can look just dominant at times. But I mean, let's face it, like they were basically losing to the Saints for like 3.5 quarters this past week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, even like the Commanders, I mean, like, give them credit. They have certainly found a way to come back and win at the end. But like, boy, I thought that they were going to like roll over the Cowboys, and it was a game the whole way.
Yeah, well, and there were a lot of starters that were sitting. So, but I guess the point I'm making is that if I was going to predict the Commanders' playoff push, I would say they're going to win the first game, and then in the next game they'll probably have their ass handed to them. So
let me ask you guys this: if at the beginning of the season I said, "All right, boys, we will be the number 2, the Eagles will be the number 2 seed," means we play at home, we will be 100% healthy, and we don't have to play Tampa Bay, you'd feel pretty good about that, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because it all depends.
Really?
On who you play. Yeah, because it all depends on who you play. Like let's say San Francisco didn't fall apart this year, and we had to play San Francisco in the first round. That would be concerning. Now we know San Francisco sucks now, but before the season started, they didn't.
Right.
So it would depend on who we were playing. Even after all of those good things, it would depend on who we were playing.
Yeah, I mean, really, even Green Bay, which Steve says is a tough out. I agree with him. It's a very tough out. I mean, the only thing we got going for us with Green Bay is that they haven't beat a good team all year. But there's only 3 good teams that we're calling, which is the Eagles, the Vikings, and the Lions.
But you darn well know that the Eagles are looking at last year, what they did to Dallas, to say, hey, I would not underestimate what's coming at us.
Sure. And you better hope that, though, because the Eagles haven't been great at starting fast, and that's exactly what the Packers did last year.
Yep.
So it's the bottom line is I'm just trying to take the vantage point of like, let's just sit back and enjoy it, and hopefully we'll be pleasantly surprised. I will tell you that and this might be one of those things too where this first round game against Green Bay, it could be the most difficult game of the playoffs. I mean, I'll be honest with you, from what I saw from I really shouldn't include Detroit in this, because Detroit ended up that game looking really, really good. But boy, at halftime, I'm watching Detroit and the Vikings, and I'm thinking like, are these 2-14 teams or 14-2 teams? I mean, like they were pretty horrible. I mean, like, Goff had like 2 interceptions, and it's a shame that guy for the Vikings didn't intercept and pick 6 that one, or we would have had 3 and it would have been a tie game, and Darnold looked like he'd never been in a big game in his life. He was overthrowing everybody. Like I don't know, like Jared Goff and Sam Darnold do not inspire any confidence in me whatsoever. If I was a fan of those teams, I'm concerned. I think that certainly obviously one, but it wouldn't shock me at all if both of those teams lose even before the championship game.
So what are the keys to beating the pack? Let's turn the page here.
Let's talk about the Super Bowl now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, Steve, and you guys saw me looking away. I'm actually putting this up on the big screen in the studio, so on the television, so I can kind of watch us and see what we look like. It's pretty cool. Okay. We look official, like CBS Sports. Anyway, Steve says Green Bay is going to be a tough out. Home field and Barkley running should be the difference. They're going to come prepared. They're well coached and young, talented. And he agrees with Mark on your point. I think he was talking about the Vikings there. So what do you guys think the keys to beating the pack at home are? Let's start with you, Rube. What do you think is number one on that list?
I think we got to be the number one defense and stop Josh Jacobs. I think if we give them nothing and make Love beat us through the air without one of his biggest weapons, it's going to be a long day for them.
I want to know how you give nothing and make love. Can you explain that to me?
What are you talking about?
I'll give him. Golly.
Rube's up there. He knows what's going on. He said, "I think if we give nothing and make love," and then he paused.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm wondering how that happens. If you could give me some insight on that.
It's a
we got ourselves a witty one.
It's a Texan country song, and I'll explain it later.
Give nothing and make love.
give nothing and make love.
All right. Well,
Rube's way to the top.
There you go.
Listen, I heard something really interesting on the way home, and so I can't take it as my own. And I forget, I might have been listening to some sports radio in Philly, and they said back in 2019. They asked Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and Matt LaFleur, what defense or defensive coach most scares them. Unanimously, it was what's our guy's name?
Vic Fangio.
Vic Fangio, which I found really interesting. And so, listen, our defenses heavily carried us this year. I think we've done a really good job stopping the run. No Watson. To me, it feels like if we just shut down their running game, we should be fine.
Right.
So I think the big key to the game is shut down Jacobs. Don't let him go off, and keep everything in front of us. And the offense should be what the offense is, assuming Hurts plays. I think Sirianni's been very coy about whether he's out of concussion protocol or whatnot. But assuming all things being equal and we're healthy and the offense is good, I think that's the big key to the game.
Steve chimes in and says, stop the chunk plays, the downfield passes, and no turnovers on offense. Grant Schwabini, what do you think the number one key is? Let's just try to do the most important thing.
I think the most important thing to add on to the defense is to get turnovers. Jordan Love is a really talented passer, but he's also been known to really throw some boneheaded picks this year. So if we can get a pick or two, maybe cause Jacobs to fumble, I think if we win the turnover battle, we'll win the game. So yeah, I mean, I think that's what it really comes down to is playing strong defense. But like if the Eagles score I'm going to say over 25 points. They should win. Their defense, I feel like the defense could hold them to 23 and under.
Yeah, I mean it's funny, you guys. That's what we're looking at right there. A little defensive play.
That's it right there.
You guys are talking about the defense. I think the number one key to victory here is that Jalen Hurts plays in the game, first of all, which I pretty sure he's going to, and that he's able to shake off that rust and deliver some timely passes over the middle of the field. We know Barkley's going to be used heavily. They're going to try to establish that run game. But I think the real key here is, can Jalen Hurts come into the game after not starting for the last 3 weeks, and can he get into a rhythm? Because if it becomes a slugfest, then it can go either way, and that'll come down to a last-second field goal. And of course, we like Jake Elliott, but we also the Packers have a kicker as well. So I really think the defense is going to show up. I think the Packers are not. I'm not sold on the Packers. That's where I'm coming from. I haven't been sold on the Packers. I know their record is good. I think Jordan Love is I want to say above average quarterback, but I'm not sold on them yet. And so I don't think that the defense is going to have the defense should not have a huge problem with this. And I'm going to bring this up here. Here's one of the reasons why. Schwaber, you sent this to me earlier. In 2024, the Eagles lost Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox to retirement. And in 2025, their replacements, Cam Jurgens and Jalen Carter, were named to the Pro Bowl. So, I think the key here is definitely, is Hurts going to come in and now you got to expect him to be a little rusty, but is he going to be able to manage the game in that first important quarter to get his confidence level up so he can start playing the downfield game for A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and that is the key.
And he's got Goddard back. I think that's a great point, Chris. He's got Goddard back. And oh, by the way, no Jair Alexander in their defensive backfield. So they're missing a critical corner. They're missing a critical receiver. They're playing at our place. We are healthy. Presumably Hurts plays, like you said. There should be no reason for us to lose.
Knock on wood.
Can I hear a poo poo poo, as my mother used to say?
Yeah. We'll unpack that later, Rube. All right. So how do you think, if the Packers are going to win, how do you think they're going to win?
I think we're going to turn the ball over too much. I think we're loose with the ball, like we were in the first game against them, by the way, after a long layoff from Hurts. So, Chris, technical director, whoever Calvin is.
You can call me whatever you want.
I would say that's going to be problematic. So we need to stick with what got us here. No turnovers, smart game management, run the ball, play defense, and Rube wears the visor.
There you go, baby.
Now, do you see why? Let's flip this script real quick, maybe 30 seconds on it. If they were playing the Commanders, I think they have a whole host of bigger problems. Do you see what I'm saying at this point? I just, after we've had this discussion, I think if you look at the Commanders and the way they're built and the way they're playing right now, I am actually.
I think if they play the Commanders, they have one problem, and that's Jaden Daniels extending plays on 3rd and 4th down.
Right.
And they're hot.
That's it.
And they're finding ways to not lose. They're finding ways to win.
Yeah.
And you don't want to keep playing teams that find ways to win. Let somebody else take them out.
Dan Quinn, to me, watching, this will be the last thing I say on that, and then we'll move on to page 3. Dan Quinn, to me, is kind of like emulating Dan Campbell. You know what I mean? This year. It's kind of like we're out to prove something.
Mm-hmm. A little bit, yeah.
And I think he is probably got a pretty good shot at winning Coach of the Year. I think he's got a pretty good shot at it. Do I think
probably
he's
not?
I don't know.
Probably not. They're going to give it to O'Connell.
with Darnold, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, I could see that too, but you can make a case for both. So, all right, we'll get to our predictions for the game when we do our other NFL predictions. How about that, guys?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, watching the Sports Porch Philadelphia right now. If you're watching, of course, all over the world on Facebook, YouTube, and X, and I'm going to drop the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get
your friggin' podcasts.
All right, there you go. Moving on to page 3, let's talk about Pro Bowl selections and snubs. Here we go. What do we see in this picture we put up here? The 6 Pro Bowl selections.
Yep. So in the Pro Bowl, we got Jalen Carter, Saquon Barkley, Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson, Zach Bond, and Landon Dickerson.
All right, there you go. Anybody they missed?
I think they did. I think they did miss a player or two. Rob, you want to take who would be your Pro Bowl snub?
Yeah, I'm going to let you go first. I need to think about it a little bit more, please.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say number 1 has got to be Jordan Mailata. Jordan Mailata
he's a backup. He's an alternate, right?
Yeah, but by PFF, he's the highest rated lineman in all of football, every offensive line position. So I don't really understand how that even works, but I just know that person should probably be in the Pro Bowl. Wouldn't you agree?
100%. You look at, I mean, what's that? 1, 2, 3 linemen, offensive linemen.
Yeah.
How is it voted upon?
It's weird. It's apparently it's like a third players, a third coaches, and a third fans. So I don't know.
Yeah. So there's no reason why they couldn't have just picked their whole offensive line.
Right. But I have another one that I think falls into it as well.
Shoot.
Also a first alternate. Quinyon Mitchell.
I was going to bring him up.
San Quinyon Island.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, like, basically he gave up like nothing the entire year. I mean, he got so good to the point where some teams weren't even throwing towards his side of the field. I just don't know, like, who else was so much more locked down than him. He gave up 1 touchdown on the year. Like somebody else gave up none? Who?
Well, who's another rookie cornerback who's made the Pro Bowl?
I think that's what I'm thinking. You know, Sauce Gardner made it his first year.
Right. You know? So, you know, I
think what's his name? The guy in Denver,
Surtain
made it his first year. Yeah. Yeah, I thought, I mean, you know, look, he got first alternate, so I guess, you know, he came in third or whatever.
I mean, that's not really a snub. I don't think that's a snub. But I agree he had a Pro Bowl caliber season. Here's the thing that I feel about the Pro Bowl. Now that it's called the Pro Bowl games, it's not really a Pro Bowl. You know, back in the days when Sean Taylor could headhunt on the punter, you know, I mean, give me a Pro Bowl game. You want to see these guys play. I don't even watch the Pro Bowl games anymore because I don't want to watch these guys play flag football.
I don't either, but it's just a matter of being, you know, named to it, which is
let's talk about
it's the honor. It's the name, it's the honor. And I would have to really stretch to say someone other than Mailata. I think that's the right call. Schwabini. I think everyone else could be argued, but I think Mailata is a big miss for sure. Pretty damn impressive that 3/5 of our offensive line was voted to the first team.
Well, I mean,
it should have been 4/5. Should have been 80% of our line.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question they're the best offensive line in football right now. So, you know, let's just hope that translates into the next game.
And also, you could also make an argument for CJ.
I was thinking about him too. We're a different team without him on the field. We are
6 interceptions. He's our big play guy.
That's a pretty good year. Yeah, that's a pretty good year. So, okay, let's move on here. Page 3. That was page 3. Page 4. Is everybody ready for this? How did our 2024 NFL predictions end up? Who's got the list? Grand Schwabine?
I got it. So the first thing we're going to go over is who was most successful to least successful predicting the Eagles' record.
Oh boy.
Well, let's go least successful to most successful.
So as you know, the Eagles finished with a record of 14-3.
Right.
The one who believed the least was Rob
Of course.
At 11-6.
Negadelphia.
Still not a bad record though.
No, not bad though.
In the middle was the Grand Schwalbini, 2 off at 12-5. And believe it or not, Chris, who wins at absolutely nothing in life, wins here 13-4.
You got it, baby.
1 game off.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
1 game off. How about that?
That's right.
Wow.
Do you have the season record? How close are we on the season record?
What do you mean season?
That is the season record.
That is the season.
No. I mean wins and individual wins and losses. There's 3 losses that I said they would get. Did I get the losses right?
Oh, you start getting into that, it gets very difficult.
How does it get difficult? It's 3 fucking games.
No, you only got one of the losses correct.
Which one was that?
Actually, I mean, if you want to look at it this way, you actually didn't get any of the losses correct.
Okay, there you go. How hard was that?
Yeah.
But I still got the record pretty close.
You did. You're within 1 game.
Looks like I had the most faith out of all of us. There
well,
you go.
Right.
It's because you're not from Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's because I can look at it objectively and say, damn, they're good.
And if we look
14-3, I don't know if any of us would have ever predicted that. Ever.
What did I predict? 13-4?
Yeah.
Yep,
I mean,
13-4.
You're really close.
Yeah. There you go.
Now, when we get to the playoffs, what do you guys want to know? How many of the 14 playoff teams you got correct?
Well, let's talk about the NFC first because I've got the NFC list up here, 1 to 7. So
okay, so here's the thing, because sometimes you say somebody won the division, they didn't, but they made a wild card, so that still counts.
Just say how many playoff teams did we get right?
How many playoff teams? So for Mark, out of 7 in the NFC. He got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Maybe a little preparation prior to the show.
Mark. Well, I didn't know we were going to do it by this way.
Okay.
So I got 4 out of 7.
Well, who did you pick that didn't make the playoffs?
Who did I pick that didn't make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Right.
Atlanta, San Francisco, and Dallas.
Okay. All right. There you go.
Rob also got 4.
Probably the same 3 teams I missed.
Atlanta, San Francisco, and Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris, you also got 4.
Mm-hmm.
You were wrong on San Francisco and Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you were right on. What the heck's this one here? Oh, and you were wrong on Seattle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we all have 4 NFC playoff teams. Now let's go to the AFC.
All right.
Mark has 4. The ones that didn't make it, these are pretty pathetic. The Jets.
How on earth would you ever choose the Jets?
The Jaguars.
I mean, it's not like the Jags too, but it's not like Mark Sanchez was quarterbacking for them.
And the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
I bet you I missed the same exact 3.
Those are some big misses.
Rube also got 4. He missed on Miami, Cincinnati, and the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just happy I didn't say the Jets.
Chris actually gets 5 right.
There you go, baby.
And he loses out on the Jags and Miami. So now here's the big question. We predicted the championship games, the Super Bowl, and then the winner of the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. 2 of the 3 of us, Mark with Baltimore and Chris with Philly, have our Super Bowl champion alive. Rob picked San Francisco to win the Super Bowl. So he's out on that.
At least he didn't pick the Jets.
Now, both Chris and Mark have the whole Super Bowl still available. Mark picked Baltimore versus Green Bay, and Chris picked Baltimore versus Philly. Rob's entire Super Bowl is eliminated. San Francisco versus Miami.
Oh boy! Wow,
not happening.
Huh. Well, practice. You may get better, Rube.
Yeah. Well, all I can fall back on is the fantasy football win.
That's true. Yeah. Yep. You may not. You know the details. You're just not good at 30,000 feet. Okay, so should we kind of redo things?
Yeah, we'll redo it. Let's make
because we have an actual playoff picture here.
Yeah,
we can get Rube back in the fray here.
Let's pick the playoff games as they are currently slated.
Okay, I'll start with the NFC. Let's start right away with the game du jour. Packers at the Eagles.
I'm going to take the Birds. Who are you going to take, Rube?
I'll take the Birds.
And Chris?
Oh, I'm taking the Eagles all the way on that one.
All right. Okay, Commanders Bucks. The battle in Florida.
Go ahead, Rube.
Give me the Bucks.
Rob says the Bucks.
I'm going Jaden Daniels. Dan Quinn's going to ride him home.
Dan Quinn's going to ride Jaden Daniels?
Yeah. Thanks, Rube.
You know what? I'm also going to go Commanders.
Yep.
The only team that the Bucks are any good against is the Eagles.
There you go. Play and pray.
Yeah, so Rob will take the Bucks. Okay. And then we got Rams versus the hapless Vikings.
Yeah, it's the Vikings at the Rams Monday at 8 p.m. Rube.
Where's the game? At Minnesota?
Rams.
Oh, no, it's in LA.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a believer. I'm going to stick with it. The Vikings.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings too. There's something about now. Look, Sam Darnold did not look great last night, but at the same time, division game and Detroit's defense was flying all over the field. Play that game again, and I think they lose again. So, but when it comes to having a point to prove, I like the Vikings. The Vikings defense, the number one interception defense in the league. And Matt Stafford, I know Puka Nacua is, he's a great receiver. Cooper Kupp, when healthy, Stafford can carve up defenses, but he's getting a little loosey-goosey in his old age, and he's already won a Super Bowl. So I think I know Rube like that. So I'm taking the Vikings.
Give me the Rams. Stafford is not afraid. Sam Darnold sees ghosts.
See, I feel like Stafford
is lights at 11.
Ready. All right, next game. We did all three games. Okay, so that's the NFC. Of course, Detroit has the bye. AFC, let's do the Broncos at the Bills on Sunday at 1 p.m. Who the hell ever thought that Bo Nix would be in a playoff spot his first year in the league? I hate Sean Payton. I'll say it until the day I die or till the day he dies. Rube, what do you think? Denver at Buffalo Bills. Yeah, this one seems so easy.
Bills at home. Allen's playing the best football of his life. No prima donnas. Free, they don't have to play at altitude in Denver, so they lose that. Although I've been very surprised by the Broncos. They've looked really good, but give me the Bills.
Okay, Bills it is.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. Bills by 40.
Yeah. Yeah, bet the over, but it's all Bills. Where's the upset here? You look at the two other games.
Well,
hold on. Chargers,
don't get ahead of yourself. Let's take it one game at a time.
I know. Chargers at Texans, Steelers at Ravens. They seem easy too. Well, not okay.
No, not necessarily. Steelers, Ravens. Who do you got? Ruby.
Okay, so you
state perspective.
You picked the Bills for me. Is that what you're saying?
We know you picked the Bills.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
All right.
Ravens.
All right. I'm going to take the Ravens as well.
I think the Steelers win this game. I think they shock the world.
Okay.
I think now on our Pittsburgh show later today, I may change my mind.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that Mike Tomlin in his press conference today is quoted as saying, "We know how to play these guys." So I think based on that alone,
that didn't work the last time.
I know. I'm being a homer.
You're going gut feel.
Did either of you guys pick the Steelers to be in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, I did.
I think I picked them to go 9-8. So I don't know. I don't remember.
Probably not.
Look, yeah, we'd have to go back. Mark did pick them to go 10-7.
Yeah, I picked them to be a wild card.
Okay.
And no, you did not. Chris.
Yeah. I really didn't think so.
I picked them to be a wild card.
So based on that, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make an argument.
Thanks, Rube. I appreciate that. All right, fuck it. Ravens. All right, I'm going with the Ravens. Yeah, I mean, yes, I think they're going to run over them. Yeah.
I know what I could say to make you say Ravens instantly.
Yeah.
You think George Pickens is going to have a good game?
No.
I think that didn't look good the other night, Pittsburgh fans.
I think they need to put him on an Amtrak and send him to Philadelphia so he can reunite with Kenny Pickett. Yeah. No. All right. Ravens. All right.
Now, I think this is probably the toughest game of them all. I think Chargers versus Texans.
Yeah.
Give me the Bolts.
Yeah, I'm going Bolts as well because just because it's Jim Harbaugh. You know, and CJ Stroud is still crying. They're still handing him tissue boxes.
CJ Stroud, you are what we thought you were.
Yeah, unfortunately. Rube?
Ride and die with my Houston Texans.
There you go, baby. Got to do it.
I had to be different. I was going to say the fighting Harbaughs because I do believe he's a difference maker. But, you know, they went to the playoffs last year, the Texans. I think they're a solid team. And, you know, I like D'Amico as a coach. I like their defense. Joe Mixon's got a thing to prove. They're
depleted, though. They're depleted at receiver. Yeah. All they got is Nico left.
Nico's good. Nico's just fine.
Mm.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon runs for 150.
Okay.
If he does, I wonder if CJ will cry tears of joy.
Yep. Poor kid. All right. Current playoff predictions. We will relive those next week. I want to remind you, if you're watching us live right now, you're probably watching us on Facebook, not LinkedIn, sorry, Facebook, YouTube, and X. And of course, I'm going to drop the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts.
Anywhere.
You can follow the Sports Porch Philadelphia on YouTube at Philadelphia Sports Porch. Looking to grow the subscriber base there. Hit the subscribe button, click notifications. You know when we're live. Page 6. Sixers, Phillies, Flyers mashup. I mean, good luck. What's going on, guys?
Rube, lead us probably into the land of the Sixers with your big board.
Yep, that's a good idea.
The big board is up, and so what we have is 23 games without and 10 games with.
Oh, so, the games with are picking up.
The games with are picking up.
And the record's getting a little better.
What are they, 14 and 19?
So yeah,
we're closing in 19. On 500.
And they are, I think I looked today, I think they're 3 games out of the 4 seed.
Are you serious?
With that horrible record.
Yeah, that's pretty pathetic.
Hey, anything can happen.
Listen, it's interesting. I want to see them consistently beat teams that have winning records. The Boston game was great on Christmas Day. I found joy in it because the Grand Schwabini told me to find joy.
Yes.
But you still can't call yourself a good team until you beat someone other than Utah and Portland. Right. So show me you can start beating winning teams, and then I'll get a little bit more interested.
Yeah, they're 3 games out of the 5 seed. The 5 seed Milwaukee is under 500. It's 17-18.
There is hope.
Only 4 teams in the East are over 500.
So the season is close to halfway over.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're actually 1 game over. They're 17-16.
Okay, so the season is close to halfway over.
So 33 games in. Yeah.
Right. So do we feel better than we felt maybe 15 games ago?
I mean, definitely better than 15 games ago. The bottom line is I'm still a big believer that if they're going to have any chance, I think they probably do have to add something at the trade deadline. Wouldn't it be great if they could pick up Jimmy Butler and his sorry ass?
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, they've decided after Pat Riley just said we're not going to trade him. He basically just said like, "Hey man, I told you I'm out. I get what I want." And they suspended him for 7 days, and now they're listening to offers.
Yeah.
The NBA is the biggest joke of a league in terms of how it's run. It really
I gotta tell you, it is so. It is the inmates running the asylum. It's ridiculous.
Well, you know what? I hear what you're saying, but in all honesty, I mean, when a player does that, the player has the leverage. I mean, you do have the option of sitting him and just not playing him and just not trading him.
Ben Simmons, James Harden.
Right. And then you have, all of the, all of the internal squabbles that are going to happen, and you risk the entire team just blowing itself to shreds. So even in the NFL, when players, they get to that point, they just say, we're going to get rid of you. I mean,
so I know you were kind of kidding, but do you think we're a better team with Jimmy Buckets?
Of course.
With that talent?
What makes it better? Is there more balls to go around for all these guys to score? What do you think he brings that we don't have today? I have an answer, but I want to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, well, he brings
the fact that he walks out on the court, he brings more balls.
Yeah, he brings defense and he brings clutch scoring.
No more drinking before the show.
Yeah,
I don't drink. I'm drinking coffee, man. Maybe that's the problem.
Maybe that's the problem. So
defense and clutch scoring.
Yeah, I think it sounds to me like he's kind of a head case.
Always has been.
Right. But at the same time, that might actually be the elixir that the Sixers need, to push them over the top. Now you've got another superstar.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way they're going to get him though. I mean, Riley's not going to give him away for free. And anything that they'd want to take off of us, it just hurts us more. So
would you give up? Would you give up one of our big three for him?
Yeah, I know that was like a question. Like, would you give up like Paul George for him or somebody like that?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think so.
He's younger than Paul George, right?
They're pretty close. He's 34. I think they're around the same age.
Pretty much the same age.
Okay. All right. Well,
but I do agree with you. He is clutch. If I want somebody with the ball in their hands at the end of the game, I would take Jimmy Butler over anyone we have on the floor today, including Embiid.
Yeah.
So
chances 0 to 100%. Chances that happens.
15%.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty low. Under 20%.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move to the Phillies. Anything we need to talk about there?
No, it's been pretty quiet for now.
Okay, so this mashup did not include the Phillies. The Flyers, I saw an interesting stat from Hockey Jesus. Michkov, 1 goal in the last 10 games, and he's minus 11. What has happened to the madness?
We talked about it last week. He's never played this many hockey games in his life before. He's hit the rookie wall. And that's okay. That's okay. We don't want to, overdo it with him.
So at the risk of sounding like HJ, who's a Sidney Crosby apologist, did Sidney Crosby hit a wall his rookie year?
No, because he played like 250 games the year before he was a rookie.
250. Okay. I didn't realize it was 250, but
that's a lot. That's a lot.
You say so. I mean, no wonder,
Yeah, he played 250 games and 365 nights.
Okay. All right. So what's going on? What do you
see? It's pretty amazing. I'm looking at some stats, and everyone I look at is a minus. Tippett's a minus 13. Drysdale is a minus. What did I just see? He's like a minus 13 or 14. So somebody Farabee minus 14. Forrester's been playing some good hockey. Cates has been playing hockey, but at the end of the day, we just can't continue to give up 6 goals or 7 goals a game. We didn't against Toronto last night. Look, it was better.
That's what it is. I mean, if you give up 5 goals a game, number one, you're going to lose a lot. To be honest, it's a miracle that they're basically 500. I mean, what are they? 17, 18, and 6 or something like that.
I'll take a quick look. It's pretty close, though. Yes.
I mean, with their goals against, it's
17, 18, and 5.
Yeah, with their goals against, that's like a miracle. And then when you have that many goals against going in, well, that's going to make for the majority of the team to be minuses. I mean, that's how you do the calculation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Wizard.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I mean, the way I look at them, hey, they're competitive. They're competitive. I mean, they play, take a team like the Penguins. Like the Penguins are 2 points ahead of them, right? And the Penguins are playing really, really good lately. It just shows you how bad they were playing early. Whereas the Flyers kind of did the opposite. And now they've kind of leveled off. But yeah, Steve says they have no defense. Yeah. And that's exactly why I think their record's amazing. They have no defense, and yet they're basically 500.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty hard to do.
Well, again, halfway through the season there, and we'll see what happens with Michkov and Michkov madness. But you know what, Schwaber, I'm not. I don't disagree with you about the rookie wall. I understand exactly what you're saying, and that's probably part of the case. Steve says McCabe got his bell rung by Hathaway. Did you see that?
I think he wrote it the other way around. Hathaway got his bell rung.
Was that the one where he got his head hit into the ice and then they had a fight?
Yeah,
and then Hathaway beat him up.
I don't know. Maybe that was a different one, but I saw he got a bad Hathaway. They put a bad hit on him the other day. I don't know.
He's a pest. All right, guys, real quick, since there's not much going on with the Flyers, the Sixers, or the Phillies, how about some quick college football? Who you picking for your final 2, and who you picking for the national title?
Penn State and Texas. And I'm going with Penn State.
Schwabini?
If that actually came
I know
true,
Mark is going the complete opposite of that.
That is like the least likely scenario.
That's why I'm picking it. That's why I'm picking it. Chris, who has never won anything in his life.
I'm gonna go Notre Dame, Ohio State. And as much as I hate to say it, because I'm really not a fan of these guys, I think that Ohio State is going to take it. Ruby?
I think that's the most likely thing to happen, but just to keep it interesting, I will go Penn State.
Yes.
I will go Penn State, Ohio State, showing that I'm not a Texas homer, but I think Ohio State wins an all Big Ten championship game.
There you go. That's what the ratings guys want.
By the way, I mean, also, like, I have to tell you, like, they really have to do a much better job next time around on the seeding. I mean, how exactly do you have, like, in my mind, Oregon and Ohio State are the 2 best teams in college football, and they played the first game for Oregon.
Yeah, well,
Penn State, meanwhile, played 2 teams that didn't even belong in the tournament. Like, Penn State has still not beaten anybody in this tournament, and they're in the Final Four. It's a joke. It's a joke.
let's just say that there's going to be some wrinkles that need to be ironed out.
Cam Scattaboo for president.
There you go.
Cam Scattaboo, let's draft him in the 4th round, fullback.
All right, everybody, you've been watching the Sports Philadelphia all over the world on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And, of course, I'm going to drop the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or
anywhere you get your freaking podcasts.
There you go, finally. And you can always follow us on YouTube at Philadelphia Sports Porch down there in the ticker. I want to thank you guys for being here. Want to thank the Grand Schwabini, Rube, for all three of us. I'm your technical director. We'll see you next week, 6 p.m. Eastern time on the Philadelphia Sports Porch, hopefully with an Eagles victory. That's it, boys. Have a good week.
Later.
I am out.